Hello, my name is Geogen and welcome back to World of Tanks. Today we're looking at the JagdPanzer E100, or the so-called Jageru, which has been dubbed by more famous YouTubers such as QuickieBaby and Jingles, who are very, very good at what they do. I recommend you check them out if you haven't done so already. But if you're clicking on the World of Tanks video, it's unlikely you haven't heard of them. Anyhow, back to me and the JagdPanzer E100 on Live Oaks. I'm going to slow it down here just to go through its characteristics. So, the JagdPanzer is a very heavy, very thickly armoured vehicle with a huge weapon. The upper plate, located here, of course, is very strong indeed and is very well angled, as you can see. Therefore, most guns, if not all guns, will not go through that, just like how it will not penetrate the E100's upper glacis, because these two vehicles are based on the same chassis, as you can tell. The casemate structure, or the superstructure, is quite strong, but is poorly angled compared to the front. The sides are thick, but flat. So if you shoot at a JagdPanzer and you have his side, shoot him up here. Do not shoot into the spaced armour located along the sides of the vehicle above the tracks. Shoot the rear if possible. It is quite thin in comparison to the front of the vehicle and is very flat indeed. Very, very limited angling. In fact, the lower half is better angled than the casemate. The spaced armour, as I mentioned earlier, will help you against HE rounds as well as possibly absorbing heat ammunition. I also neglect to mention the weaknesses of the armour from the front. The lower plate is very weak compared to the upper plate, so if you have the lower plate, shoot it there and it will go through most of the time if you have a suitable weapon. Around 200 penetration, perhaps less. But if you're in a tier 8 vehicle, most of them have 200mm penetration. The other weak spot that you can hit from the front, say if you can only see this, you can't see the lower plate, would be the, let's say it's a AA gun, machine gun, cupola on top of the vehicle. It's rounded and angled, but it's rather thin in thickness of the armour compared to the rest of the vehicle. Do not shoot it in the gun mantlet. This area is exceptionally strong, and your shot will likely ricochet. However, if you have a very high pen gun, you can penetrate the cheek armour here and here, especially if you're, say, in a Soviet medium and you fire heat ammunition. Although tier 10 tank destroyers as well as tier 9 tank destroyers will go through there with ease. Let's speed the replay back up. So in that time it took me to talk about the vehicle's characteristics, we've made it into the Live Oaks small town area in the northwest of the map. Oh, actually, northwest. It doesn't matter. Anyhow, we pre-aim for this corner, waiting for anyone to come out from behind that church. No one does, however. Not for some time. So we advance forward slightly. I turn my gun to the right there because I've noticed an IS-7, which our E100 friend here has spotted. Our mouse takes a hit, our E100 takes a hit, but they both bounce. Our E100 returns fire, but misses. He's angling well to counter the IS-7's weapon. I then get spotted by the IS-7, which is surprising. I thought I would have been spotted much earlier. Anyhow, we roll into position to try and deal with the threat. And we wait for him to appear with his weaker armour, because as you can see, he is well angled right now, and the side armour of the IS-7 is very tricky to penetrate, especially from this angle. Even if the gun, which is a 17cm weapon, or 170mm, has almost 300 penetration. It has 299 with standard armour piercing, and if you feel like going completely overboard, I believe you have 400. Let's see. 420 penetration with heat. 300, however, at this close range, against an IS-7, is more than capable. We do 1034 damage with our first shot. slightly under the average damage rolls. And we wait for the reload, which is around 20 seconds. As you can see, this IS-7 is pretty screwed right now. And we fire another great shell into the top of his frontal armor. If we take a moment to consider what happened, why this has happened, we have to look at how tall the vehicle is in comparison to the IS-7. Because the IS-7's frontal armor is very thick, of 150mm and well angled, from a distance it would be better to fire at the lower plate. However, the lower plate is still quite well angled, and more often than not it ricochets. However, because we're in such a close range and we're above the vehicle with our weapon, the penetration of 300, coupled with the fact that the armor thickness, effective thickness of the IS-7 has gone down, because we are above him shooting down, it doesn't matter, and therefore our penetrations go straight through anyhow. If you're in a higher vehicle like the E100 here, or a mouse or whatever, and you can shoot down into an IS-7, try and do that as much as possible. Anyhow, we fired two shots into the IS-7, and we've done 38 ramming damage to him. We take a bounce, and I believe that hits our casemate. Yes, it hits the casemate with this more spaced armor type, effective spaced armor on top. Obviously, this is weaker than this, and this is impenetrable, near enough. Anyhow, we're now reloading. And we remove the IS-7. I have noticed, however, half our team is dead, and our score is currently 3-7. The town is in danger of being lost, and our flank for the base on the right hand side is also lost. We are now reloading, and we avenge our FV-215B183 by placing a shell into the backside of the T-69. Take a bounce from an IS-3, which is unsurprising considering our thickness of the armor and the angle that he fired at. We now advance towards the IS-3 and reload. We fire on the move, but it's such a close range it doesn't matter. And we take off his track, do a bit more ramming damage, and our E100 friend assists us in removing the threat. 7 hits thus far, and we've almost done 3,600 damage. And we've reloaded once again. We advance towards 2 more enemies, an Indian Panzer for 1. We get tracked, and then we take some HE damage from the artillery, who hits us in the spaced armor. If he hit us on top of the vehicle, it would have done a lot more damage. We remove the Indian Panzer. FPS went down slightly there. There's a mouse in front of us. But he's angled and we are reloading currently. However, an Object 430 version 2. Firstly, he goes out in front of my weapon with 900 health, and he is punished for that. He does get a heat shell into the lower plate, highlighting its weakness, although that heat shell had 330 penetration. We also get hit by the artillery again in the side. In the spaced armor. We removed the mouse, who was pretty screwed as he was trying to fight our mouse, and we parked up behind him. We were going to go after the AMX CDC, but this T-71 does the job for us. And now we are fighting a T-133, who is a statistically good player, and will cause us great difficulty. His gun is more than capable of removing us from this fight. Yet, he's being tracked and distracted by a very good mouse driver who is angling exceptionally well. You might think he's over-angling, but he managed to bounce the shot anyway. We think about going round, but instead we crush these trees, place a very low roll into the back of his tank, only 950 frame. The artillery is still focusing us. It's just me, a T-71, who kills the T-110E3. Good job to you. The T-110E3's armour in the rear is very poor. We get hit in the back, I believe, by the artillery. So we're up to 6,000 damage done, and it's just me, a Waffenträger E100, who is defending the eastern flank alone, and a T-71. He removes the AMX 1390, well played, Waffenträger, and that means it's now a 3-on-3 fight. I decide to stick with this T-71 because he will be able to secure my flanks. Although I am knocking trees over at this point, and in retrospect the artillery may well know where I am. The Waffenträger, interestingly, is advancing down that line against Apache. He thinks he can take it. So I decide I will head with this T-71, who is essentially my spotter right now. Currently we think it's a 3 versus 3 scenario. Struggling to pronounce the word scenario though. Sorry about that. The T-71 spots the FV-4-202. And we think he's just getting ready to shoot at us. Yet, he is perfectly motionless, and he's in fact AFK. We get spotted by him, however, so that means that the artillery is getting ready to fire it. His turret armour is no match for our 170mm gun. We plant a slightly below average damage roll by only 6 damage points. This artillery has hit us several times now, 5 or 6 times. We wait for the reload. And we two-shot the FV-4-202. We're up to 6 kills, 8,000 damage done. This mouse driver is giving me some good compliments, and this is very nice to see in a game full of haters. The T-71, who was doing a very good job for me, unfortunately gets removed by this M53-55. I don't know if that guy is using the top weapon, or is using the stock weapon, which has a faster rate of fire. We go and avenge him. That will remove the threat of being hit by artillery again and again. The Batchat, however, removes the Waffenträger. And I am not going to go chase after a Batchat 25T, who is much faster than me, and will ruin me if he gets behind me. There is no way I will win that fight. The T-71, I believe, suggests to go and cap, and I agree. That is the right thing to do in this situation. The capture zone is right in front of me. I am a slow, very easy target for the Batchat to get behind me. So, we momentarily saw that he was spotted in our capture circle, and then he realised that we were capturing the base, and then he had to head back and reset it. Now, I paused it here to highlight where he could be coming from. He was last in our capture circle, and the quickest way back for him would be back down the 9 line, down the train track type thing. And therefore, I predict he'll either come from down where that pool of water is to the front, or alternatively, he'll appear where the gun is, or he will appear towards the right hand side through these trees, perhaps behind that those sets of buildings. Additionally, he could take the very long way round and use his superior view range and then shoot me in the side. So he could come from a possible 4 directions. 4 or 5 directions. Let's see how this plays out. So the capture circle, I put myself behind the ammunition supplies to try and get as much camoing as possible, considering the vehicle doesn't have camo net. It does have a good crew, but the size of the vehicle makes it very obvious indeed. I then consider he could be coming from the left, like I just mentioned, but then turn to the right. The T-71 is giving me some tips. predicting he could come from the K line, K4, K5. And then I point my gun that way. We're at 56% capture, and I'm thinking, where is this spat chap? He's biding his time. He may, therefore, have gone the long way round. And I switch my gun back and forth, scouting these positions. And there he is. He's come from perhaps where I thought he would be. We do see him very briefly, but then he pops back into cover and stealths once again. He won't pop out from that same location again, knowing that I could be pre-firing that location. 93% capture, 95% capture, 96. There he is! No time to aim! Base captured, enemy killed. 8 kills. 8,772 damage. That was my best game I think I've ever played in World of Tanks. Thus far. In all 15,000, 16,000 games I've played. Let's take a look at the post-game stats. And here are the post-game stats. We begin by saying that we gained 102,000 credits. And that is to do with the sheer amount of damage we did in that game. Of course, this game was a mastery badge. We got several ribbons and awards, the most notable of which is a Radley Walters medal. And I believe I've only got that once or twice. I recall I got it on the IS-2, not the new IS-2 Berlin, but the older Chinese IS-2, which is basically like the Soviet ones. Anyhow, we also got a high caliber, a Top Gun, and an Invader medal because we captured the base whilst simultaneously killing the Batchat at the end. Because it was a ×2 when the first went, we got 4,298 experience. It's interesting to see the difference between non-premium and premium account. You get around 30,000 more 30,000 more credits with a premium account, and that helps us cover our costs. Anyway, moving on to the team score. We did 8,772 damage and got 8 kills with a base experience of 1,433. And we gained 4 medals. The closest on our team to doing anywhere near that number was the Waffenträger, who did 3,500 damage, which is still quite good. The T-71 did very well. He got 2,002 damage as well as 2 kills. And he got 1,100 base experience, so well played to you, Slavek. Moving on to the enemy team, we see that Batchat that we shot down at the end. He was on a roll. He had also almost got 5,000 damage, so commiserations to Malik. He fired 13 shots, of which 13 hit and 13 penetrated, causing a total damage of almost 9,000. We did some of that damage from a distance of more than 300 meters, and that I believe was on the FE-402. We received several hits and only 5 penetrated, and we received 4 non-penetrations. A lot of those shots were artillery from that M53-55. We didn't spot anybody, but that's fine. We damaged 10 vehicles and destroyed 8. We only did a very small amount of spotting damage, but we got an Invader medal because of the base capture. And if we look at a breakdown of the credits and costs, we spent 16,000 on repairs, and we spent 28,000 on ammunition. You can see how expensive these tier 10 vehicles are to run, especially the tank destroyers. But we still gained 53,000 profit. Battle lasted a very long time, considering normal battles last anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes. This one lasted over 10 minutes. And there you can see a breakdown of the experience too. So that was the JagdPanzer E100, or the Jageru, as it is well known on the internet and the World of Tanks community. This tank is a true monster though, much like Godzilla, say. It's a Godzilla of the tank world. This gun is so powerful, you can just bully any tank with it. And it's just so heavy, and it's a favourite of mine and many players in the World Tanks community for good reason. It does have flaws, the lower plate, the side armour, it's slow, it's big, it has poor cameraing, but it's still just a glorious vehicle to play. I hope you enjoyed the video today. I've been Geogen. I hope you're having a great day. Be sure to tell your friends about the channel. I'll see you chaps and chapettes in the next one.